Hi, boys and girls. Today we are going to talk about how to score in bowling using a bowling scoring app. Before you use the app, I want you to learn a little bit about how bowling is scored and what a game looks like on a scorecard so that you're understanding what you're looking at. One turn in bowling, or 2 rolls of the ball, equals 1 frame of a bowling game. When you're taking your first roll, whatever number of pins you knock down would go in the upper left-hand corner of that bowling frame. So let's pretend Mrs. Malloy is bowling, and when she rolls the ball, she knocks down 3 pins. That 3 would go in the upper left-hand corner. My second roll would go in the upper right-hand corner. So let's pretend I take my second roll. I knock down 6 more pins, so that 6 goes in the upper right-hand corner. The game total for the entire game will go along the bottom of the frame. If this was my first frame in bowling, my score would be 9 because 3 plus 6 equals 9. That game total will end up being for the whole game, not just for the frame. 10 frames equals 1 game of bowling. An example scorecard is shown on your screen. Some scorecards can look a little bit different depending on the scorecard that a bowling alley is using, but they mostly look pretty similar to this. You might notice that the 10th frame looks different from the other 9 frames. That's because in the 10th frame, you have the opportunity to earn a bonus roll. If you get a strike or a spare in your first 2 rolls of the 10th frame, you earn a bonus 3rd roll to finish up your game. If you do not get a strike or a spare, you do not get the bonus roll and your turn would be over, or your game would be over. Some rules for scoring that we need to know. A strike is when you knock down all of the pins in 1 roll. A strike is marked on a bowling frame like you see on your screen with an X in the upper right-hand corner. A strike is equal to 10 plus the next 2 rolls. It's 10 because you knock down all 10 pins, and then because a strike is the best thing that you get to add your next 2 rolls of the ball to that score. A spare is when you knock down all of the pins in 2 rolls. A spare is marked with whatever number you get on your first roll in the upper left-hand corner, and then a slash in the right corner to show that you've gotten down all of the rest of the pins. A spare is worth 10 because you knocked down 10 pins plus just the next roll. So not quite as good as a strike, but still better than just adding up the pins. The bowling app will do the adding for you, but it's important to know where those numbers come from so you know how to score in bowling. Fouls. Remember that a foul is when you step over the front line of the bowling lane. You get a 0 for a roll that has a foul. If it is your first roll of your turn and you get a foul, you would reset the pins for the second roll. You then have the opportunity to try to get all 10 pins down to get a spare. If the foul is on your second roll, you get a 0 for that turn, and your turn is over. Now let's talk about scoring using the Bowling Scoring app that's on your iPad. First, you'll need to go into your self-service and install the app. It's called My Bowling Scorecard, and it looks like this little icon, which is a bowling alley and a bowling ball. Once it's installed, you'll just click on that, and then you're ready to play. You'll click the yellow play tab, and then it takes you to your bowling scorecard. First thing you might notice is that Your bowling scorecard looks a little bit different in this app than it does in your lesson that I showed you. They all look a little bit different. This one is pretty easy to figure out once you get going. You might also notice that you could play by yourself, or you could play with a bunch of different players if you have siblings, family members, or friends that want to play as well. First thing you'll need to do is enter your name as one of the players. So I'll click on player 1, and then I will enter my name, and I'm just going to enter Mrs. Malloy, and then I can put my keyboard down and I'm ready to go. If I wanted to add other names, I would follow that same process, click on player 2, add a name, etc. Once I am ready to play, I click on the first frame, and you'll notice that my numbers pop up of my options of how many pins I knock down. So I can knock down anything from 0 to 9, or it gives me the X showing that I got a strike. Let's pretend on my first roll I knocked down 4 pins, so I click the 4. You'll notice that some of those numbers and the X for the strike gray out, and now I have a slash if I were to get a spare. So it only allows you possible options of how many pins you can knock down. Let's say on my second roll I got a 2, and there is my score. Now, if I want to see my total, I can look at it in 2 different places. My game total comes in my upper or my lower left-hand corner, and my all the way over in my complete game total as I go. Let's say on my second roll, I get a strike. I get this fun little pop-up that says, I'm on a roll, I got an amazing strike. I would just touch the screen to have it leave. You'll notice that my total score is still 6. That's because when I get a strike, I get 10 points, and then I have to wait for my next 2 rolls. So it's going to wait until I have 2 more rolls after that strike to add up my total. On my third frame, let's say I got 3 on my first roll and 6 on my second roll. You'll now see that my total jumps up quite a bit. So it goes back and it adds in my game total for frame 2, and then it can add right away for my game total for frame 3. Then I would keep going with my game so that I can show you what it looks like when you end. I got another strike. I'm pretty awesome at bowling. If I get zeros or fouls, I can show that within the game. Now, once I get to the 10th frame, it's that opportunity to get a third bonus roll. So if I get a strike, I get my pop-up, then I can get a strike again, then I get my pop-up. And yes, it is possible to get 3 strikes in a row on my game in the 10th frame. You'll notice that 3 strikes in a row is called a turkey in bowling. Then it says, congrats, game over. Malloy is number 1 because I played myself, so of course I took first place. Pretty good score with a 109 for Mrs. Malloy. When you are ready to finish your game, you can click clear scores. If you need to change who you're playing against, or you want to completely reset everything, you can hit the gear in the upper right hand corner, and then you can hit new game, and you can say clear everything, and it will take everything off. One fun part about this app is that if you're playing and you only get partway through a game and then you need to do something else on your iPad, or you need to close out of the app for some reason, it will save your scores so you can continue your game later. Now go to your self-service app, find the Bowling Scorecard app, and choose Install to download the app onto your iPad. Have fun playing!